of duty here. Andy McCarthy's not offended so much by the fact that he didn't obey the law that said he's got to give 30 days notice. What offends him is that these were leaders of the Taliban and Haqqani network, violent jihadist organizations that are still conducting offensive attacks against American troops. In other words, the war, the battle is not over. As Jeanine Pirro said, hostilities are far from over, and you've released leaders of our sworn enemies back to the field of battle. Now, Qatar, they're bad actors, and the fact they've been released to Qatar is no reassurance whatsoever. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. Qatar is guilty. They provide shelter for the Muslim Brotherhood. They provide shelter for al-Qaeda and for the Taliban. That's about the worst place in the world that they could be sent and give us any sense of safety or protection. And Andy McCarthy says, look, part of the problem here is that this is inhumane. When you hold on to enemy combatants till the conclusion of hostilities, why do you keep them there? Why do you keep them detained? Because it's humane. As the enemy's forces are depleted, it gives them a greater incentive to surrender, which means that you're going to get a swifter and less bloody conclusion to the war. But if you give the enemy back its most effective commanders, then you as the commander-in-chief, you have endangered our forces. In other words, President Obama has put American soldiers at risk by returning these enemy commanders to the field. I mean, there's some silly restriction about can't go for 1 year, but who knows if that's going to be honored. We're not even going to know if it's going to be honored because we don't have any way to really monitor these commanders. And so President Obama, by releasing them back to the field of battle, is potentially extending the war and making it far less likely that hostilities will end on terms that are favorable to American interests. And that's what he says. Look, this is high crimes and misdemeanors are political wrongs of high public officials. And Andy McCarthy says this: when the commander-in-chief replenishes the enemy at a time when A, the enemy is still attacking our forces, and B, the commander-in-chief has hamstrung our forces with unconscionable combat rules of engagement that compromise their ability to defend themselves, that is a profound dereliction of duty, and in Andy McCarthy's judgment crosses the threshold of a high crime and misdemeanor, which means the president is, in fact, from a constitutional legal standpoint, eligible for impeachment. Now, one of the things that Andy McCarthy brought up was the fact that there was no security provided at Benghazi for our ambassador. And Diane Sawyer, this is soundbite number 13, audio soundbite 13, Diane Sawyer actually pushed Hillary Clinton a little bit on the Benghazi thing, and listen to Hillary trying to skate on this.
Is there anything you personally should have been doing to make it safer in Benghazi?
Well, what I did was give very direct instructions that the people who have the expertise and experience in security apply. Well, that is personal, though, Diane. I'm not equipped to sit and look at blueprints to determine where the blast walls need to be or where the reinforcements need to be. That's why we hire people who have that expertise.
I wonder if people are looking for a sentence that begins from you. I should have.
So kudos to Diane Sawyer for actually doing some decent journalism there. She wouldn't let Hillary skate on that. Hillary's trying to blame this on subordinates. I was let down by these goofballs that I hired. They were supposed to be experts. I can't read blueprints. I'm hiring these people. I'm trusting them to do. They didn't get the job done. Well, a supervisor is not going to be able to escape when he hired the people that botched the job, because then that raises questions about his expertise, his judgment, his ability to lead. So to me, that's not even not even an effective excuse, even if it were true. So Hillary trying to skate on this, and Diane Sawyer actually pressing in, saying, look, I think what the American people are looking for is a statement that starts, I should have done this instead of what I did. Now, Andrew Cuomo, this is soundbite 14. Andrew Cuomo, this is Andrew Cuomo on CNN. And he's talking about the fact that the media has been the biggest cheerleaders for Hillary Clinton thus far as we head toward 2016. Diane Sawyer questioning that may be the first break in this dam, the first indication that maybe journalists are going to start to ask Hillary some direct questions. Here's Andrew Cuomo talking about the media and what they've done with Hillary.
Because she's doing what they call in politics, freezing pockets. Because the donors are giving her money thinking she's going to run. That means they're not going to have available money for other candidates if she doesn't. And I don't think she's going to give it to them.
She's on her way to deciding.
We'll see.
About deciding.
We couldn't help her any more than we have.
I know.
You know, I mean, she's got just a free ride so far from the media. We're the biggest ones promoting her campaign, so it better happen.
So we've given her a free ride. We've been the biggest cheerleaders that she's had. We've been the biggest promoters of her campaign. So it's just kind of intriguing. I mean, it's something that you and I know, and we have known from the beginning, but it's still, it's still kind of significant when you get somebody in the mainstream media that actually admits that they're in the tank for Hillary Clinton, not even pretending to be objective, not even pretending to do honest journalism. They're there to be her PR flacks, to be her PR hacks, to make her look good, to cheerlead for her campaign. 888-589-8840 is the number. Let's grab a call from Ron in Springer, New Mexico. Ron, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
No, how you doing today? Really enjoy your show, man.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I just want to encourage people out there that God's still the same as he's always been. He's never going to change, and we can change it by prayer. And encourage folks, if they're waiting on churches to do something, to go ahead and get on their knees before God themselves and seek the face of God like Isaiah and Elijah. The other prophets who did it, they believe God enough to get on their knees themselves. And our culture don't want us to do that. Churches are closing. They close on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. And, they're no longer believing God, it seems like. We need just a few people to stand up and get before God and seek the face of God.
All right, Ron, listen, I appreciate that. That's a great word of exhortation, a great word of encouragement. And I do think, we need to begin by praying more frequently for our country. Just bring your concerns before God. Just be honest with him about your anxiety, about your worry about the direction of our country, and then plead with him for intervention. Plead with him for help. It doesn't have to be eloquent. Just unburden your heart before God. God, I am worried about the direction of our country. I'm concerned about where my children and my grandchildren are going to wind up. I'm begging you to intervene and show me what you want my part to be in all that. Please bring about a revival in America. Great word, Ron. Appreciate that. Let's go to Jason in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Jason, welcome. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah. I just had a standing ovation on that last soundbite for the lady that was speaking directly to Obama. What was her name?
Yes, Jeanine Pirro of Fox News. She brought it, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. I love that. I was driving. I started clapping and almost drove off the road. That was great. But, so anyway, pretty much we just need to talk to the terrorist in charge that way all the time and break down everything you guys say to a South Park level, and we'll be good.
All right, well, listen, thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. In fact, I think that soundbite's good enough. This is clip number 4. Rob, can we play that one again? Do we still have access to that one? Clip number 4. This is Jeanine Pirro. Let's play this one again. This is the soundbite that lit up our last caller, Jason. Jeanine Pirro speaking directly to President Obama.
You call yourself a commander-in-chief. But what commander-in-chief doesn't support a surge but sends in 40,000 troops anyway? What commander-in-chief reduces benefits to those in the military, closes the Veterans War Memorial, reduces the Army to pre-World War II levels, knowingly allows veterans to die in our hospitals, while replenishing the enemy in a time of war? Mr. President, you are destroying this country. You have diminished us on the world stage. You have trampled on the very laws that you swore to uphold. You are not a true commander-in-chief. We've impeached a president for lying about sex with an intern. Your actions, far more egregious. Demand impeachment.
Whoa, strong stuff. I think a lot of people listening to Jeanine Pirro agree with what she has to say. Let's go to David, Lake Charles, Louisiana. David, Lake Charles, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
Appreciate your show. I think you're the smartest guy on radio because you got a good biblical worldview, plus you know your Constitution. So I want to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
I think we all agree he's doing this to close Gitmo.
Yes, I believe that's the motive.
Even that being said, it's just beyond releasing 5 of these top guys. It's just incredible. I mean, even his own people are turning on him. So let me ask you this. Is there a remote possibility, because this is the only thing I can think to justify this action, that they released these 5 guys on purpose because unbeknownst to them, they implanted some type of chip tracking device, and now they can track these guys anywhere in the world. They can lead them into bunkers, top secret places. They could foil future terrorist plans. I mean, that's the only thing I can think. Other than that, this is just the worst decision I've ever seen for Commander-in-Chief.
All right, Dave, listen, thank you for your call, and I'll answer that by talking briefly about another story. I'll finish this on the other side of the break, but the reason I do not think that's what's going on here is the bases on which President Obama is preparing to release other Guantanamo Bay terrorists. There are 3 of them that are slated for release, and I'm going to read to you why President Obama and his hand-picked team thinks that they are ready for release. It'll grind your gears. Focal Point AFR Talk. Be right back.